Okay, so I want to give a quick overview of my aquaponics system. Um, First of all, I want to say it's built in a 10 by 12 Harbor Freight polycarb greenhouse with a little bit of. I built it on a 4 by 4 base, and then added some 2 by 4 uh, structures on the inside to help hang things and add a little bit of structure to it. I did a simple, a pretty simple system where it only utilizes one pump and everything comes back to the sump tank through gravity. So basically, the water goes from the sump tank, gets pumped up, goes over to the media beds, which the top ones on top are the media beds where the actual plants will be growing. They're full of gravel. Um, those fill up and drain into the fish tanks. So all three of the bottom tanks are fish tanks. And then in the back of the fish tanks is an overflow pipe, which leads all the way around on the back side to that pipe over there into this tank, which this tank is my swirl filter or sediment filter. So pretty much what happens is you're bringing the water in at the bottom, far away from the outlet or the outlet that you can get it. So basically, that water is going to slowly move around the container, uh, and as it is slowly moving before it goes out the outlet, it's giving time for that sediment to drop down to the bottom so that I can scoop it out and remove it later, just so it doesn't get quite as gunked up in the system. There's some ways to make these a little bit better through aeration, but I'm just not quite there yet. And then this overflows back to the sump tank, and then it gets pumped up over and over again. So some of the specs, uh, the three fish tanks are all 255-gallon drums. I just cut the tops off and filled them with water, so they're probably at like 220 gallons, 200 to 220 gallons. And like I was saying, um, these all have the big ball valve, so if I ever needed to drain them, I can do that easily. And then I actually took three separate ones and cut them in half and put them on top. I actually made these media beds a little bit too big. They actually could be probably 6 inches lower than they are now. But the reason I used six total IBC 255-gallon IBC totes is because I wanted to be able to drain any of my tanks if I need to, because there's just maintenance that you have to do to these systems. The media I filled it with is pretty much just kind of whatever river rock and gravel I found on sale at the time. You have to worry about your pH, so I think limestone isn't always the best, but there's things that you can do to counteract that anyway. I've used a variety of different media, and I don't think it's quite as picky as certain people make it out to be. But it can get expensive, so trying to do it cheap is, obviously better. At this size system, I have something like 600 to 650 gallons of water for the fish tanks. Uh, that with some extra added aeration to make sure that the oxygen levels are correct for the fish, I can do something like 20 pounds of fish per tank. That's at a 10 gallon of water per pound of fish. I think that's kind of a kind of good metric to use. 10 gallons per pound of fish. I've seen some people even squeeze it to 5 gallons per pound of fish. I think that's like kind of seems to be kind of pushing it. I also think maybe 60 pounds could even be too much unless you had a lot of mechanical aeration. Somewhere between 10 and 20 gallons of water per pound of fish, I think is an easy conservative place to start. I'll bring more of these videos